Ladies and gentlemen, I'm KageKaze, and it is that time. The open beta for Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn is finally active, and I'm here right at the beginning. So keep in mind that yes, what you're about to see is beta footage, and yes, it is going to be released at launch of the game. So anything you're seeing here is early and could have been patched from when I played it to when you are seeing it now. Alright, for those of you who aren't initiated with how this works, the way I do things, this is going to be kind of an analytical playthrough. It's going to be semi-blind. I go through and I kind of give my impressions, and we talk in depth about a lot of the systems as I try and figure them out. Now I'm going to warn you that the beginning of this game is a little bit slow, so don't let that deter you. You might want to skip ahead a little bit if you don't want to follow along with what's happening here, because there will be a lengthy set of introductions and kind of fetch quests as we go forward, and then later we'll move on to the meat and potatoes of it all. Alright, so I say semi-blind, and the reason for that is I have played the previous betas up to level 10, the previous Phase 3 to 10.
Hydaelyn. A vibrant planet blessed by the light of the crystal. Amid azure seas, encompassing the westernmost of the 3 great continents, there lies a realm embraced by gods and forged by heroes. Her name, Eorzea. The annals of Eorzean history chart the rise of a succession of great civilizations, each one enjoying an age of peace, the Astral eras. To date, all have proven ephemeral. In the year 1572 of the 6th and most recent Astral era, the Northern Empire of Garlemald amassed a great army at the heart of Eorzea, seeking dominion over all. Rising in desperate resistance, the forces of the Eorzean Alliance met their would-be conquerors in the field. Yet, even as the battle raged, the lesser moon, Dalamud, was plucked from the heavens through imperial machination. From its core emerged the elder primal Bahamut, who unleashed his fury upon the realm. The devastation brought Eorzea to its knees and the era to its end. 5 years have come and gone. The light of life still shines upon Eorzea. Man labors tirelessly to raise himself from the calamity's ruin. The realm is forever changed, a stranger to him once more. Yet heedless of what lies ahead, he shall press on. Spurred by the promise of peace and prosperity. Amid this period of great change, an adventurer arrives in Eorzea, one whose tale is yet unwritten. May he ever walk in the light of the crystal.
And that is it right there, the story of A Realm Reborn. So what you've seen is kind of the end of the last version of Final Fantasy XIV, where the world was met with ruin, and so we now will travel into Eorzea as it is being rebuilt. And they're going to talk about these Warriors of Light, who were the players who basically helped save the realm. And they do it in an interesting way in that nobody can remember exactly who the Warriors of Light are and what they look like and things like that. So, all right, here we are in the character creation screen, and I can adjust my settings if I so desire, but I don't want to do that. Now, I should be able to import my settings, so what we're going to do is probably create one quick character, because what I want to do is show you some unique features of the character creator, even though I went over a lot of it before. Let's just kind of real quickly... Hey, what do you know? He's close. Let's just go ahead and confirm all of this. Sure, save appearance data. Interesting. It's not importing my character data. I wonder why. Well, let's save it in an odd spot. We're going to save it in 3. Now, you can choose your date of birth. It's much like our current calendar. You know, you can go through the first Astral, first Umbral, so pretty much January, February, March, you know, things like that. Let's just go ahead and go with the 4th Umbral, and I'll just go ahead and whatever, we'll pick 8. There we go. 8th Sun, 4th Umbral. We're just going to do that. You can also pick Patron Deity. This was something that wasn't in the character creator, the birthday and the Patron Deity. Now, picking a Patron Deity, from what I can tell, only affects stats, much like picking Highlander or Midlander or something like that. In this case, what you're affecting is your elemental resistances. So you're going to have fire, ice, wind, looks like lightning, water, earth, more than likely, yeah. So, interesting icons. So what I can tell from these is that these are based just like the birth months, so 1st Umbral and Astral Moon, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and they're kind of colored that way as well. There's not too big of a difference. I think I'm going to go ahead and pick one about wisdom. Why the hell not? Because it's got a pretty even distribution of the elements, as you can see here. Lightning being the lowest at 50, with water being the highest at 54. The others being around 52, 53, so it's pretty even. I don't think that'll be too bad of a choice. Now, once, of course, you've picked your character and your birth date and all that wonderful, wonderful, wonderful stuff, you finally get to pick what your starting class is going to be. Now, in Final Fantasy XIV originally, you can actually pick Disciples of Hand and Disciples of the Land, I believe, when you first started. Those were the Gathering and Crafting classes. Kind of hard to start off as a Gathering and Crafting class. Thankfully, they decided to break it down to the Disciples of War and Disciples of Magic for starting characters. So Disciples of War are all of your fighters. So you've got the Gladiator, who is kind of the sword and board character. And we can go ahead and look at the armor for the job. So the Gladiator will eventually turn into a Paladin. So you can see what he'll look like at that point. These are the kind of the things you just couldn't see if you wanted. That's the kind of thing you don't want to see, sorry. So you couldn't see this in any other character creator. So here I can take a look at, this is Gladiator, eventually turns into Paladin. There's Pugilist, who eventually turns into Monk. Don't see his weapon for some reason. Let's go ahead and go into Job. There we go, that's the Monk clothes. Marauder, which eventually turns into Warrior, the two-handed axe user, and you can kind of see what you look like with the Job clothes again. Just kind of go through these real quick. Lancer, which will of course eventually be Dragoon, which is some of my favorite armor. I don't know, ever since Kain from Final Fantasy IV, he's been a favorite. Which is why I will be starting as a Lancer. Now, I keep in mind, I do know that Lancer is not the most interesting combat class to watch from the beginning. I think Monk has that, or Pugilist has some of the better, more interesting combat, but I want to go ahead and start with my Lancer, and that will also start me off where I can start learning White Mage right away. So here we go, Bard. Yes, Archer goes into Bard, a very interesting choice this time around. And of course, the three Disciples of Magic are Conjurer, who eventually becomes White Mage. Thaumaturge, who will eventually become the Black Mage. There's his wand right there. Just go ahead and show him off. And yes, he does have a mask to keep you from seeing most of his face. And the new one for this beta is Arcanist. He was not available in Phase 3. They use books as their weapon. Now, it looks like the job they picked to show off here is Summoner class. So Arcanist is kind of interesting in that it is the only class in the game that will branch off into two different jobs. You've got Summoner, which we're seeing here, and then you can also become a Scholar. So the Summoner will summon different elemental type pets for use in attack, and the Scholar will summon fairies for use in defense and healing. So the Arcanist can split off into two different classes, and they're very different. One is damage, one is healing and support. So that's something to keep in mind when you're looking at these classes. So Arcanist, again, splits off. Thaumaturge, Black Mage, which is magical damage. Conjure, White Mage, which is healing. And then you've got your DPS classes of Archer, Bard, Lancer, Dragoon, and Pugilist, Monk. The Gladiator and the Marauder, despite the fact that he doesn't carry a shield, are both the tank classes. Marauders will tank using damage and healing absorption. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of pick one, and let's see if I'm able to eventually load my settings, and I don't think I will. Oddly enough, it looks like I'm able to take a look at the Japanese list of servers. Now, since I can look at it now, I want to talk about this real quick. You are going to see the standard servers here, and you are going to see some with the legacy on them. The legacy worlds are really not that different from normal worlds. But if you choose to go onto a legacy server, keep in mind that old Final Fantasy XIV players will be on those servers more than likely with their old characters, which means if you're looking to join a server that hasn't had much of a growth yet, you don't want to go to a legacy server because you're going to have players that may have already hit level 50 and max level content, so the economy is going to be a little off because of that. Normal servers, though, everybody has to start off with a level 1 character. So we're going to go ahead and go here. Looks like we are not able to get a list. Let's go ahead and hit the update button and see what happens. Can only be used once every 3 minutes, so unfortunately I'm not able to pull up the world list. So it looks like I'm not going to be able to start right away. That's a shame. I was kind of expecting this. So what I can do is attempt to create my character again, since I can't seem to load him at the moment. And we'll wait for the servers to come out. So ladies and gentlemen, there's a brief delay, but these things happen when you're looking at open beta right at launch. Alright, I was able to figure out how to get my character to load. So you might run into this when the game fully comes out. When you start the game for the first time, it's going to have you create a character, and it's not going to prompt you to load your data. So it kind of is a PSA for you guys. In the lower left-hand corner is going to be this little X. I'm not going to do it now because that's actually quit. But when you're creating a character, you click on the X, and it will say, do you want to go back to character selection? You do that, and you can go to New Character, and then you can go ahead and select Load Data. And here we can see my data is available, so you can see slot 1 and slot 2, my beta version, and the one that I made earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and load my character. There we go, looking good, and I can even edit him. So this is great. I can go ahead and go through, edit him as I so desire if I wasn't entirely happy with the way he turned out. So with all this done, looks like we're going to go ahead and confirm. We don't need to save the appearance data. Alright, so I just wanted to show that off real quick. I went through and I had the same exact prompts. Choose a birth date, choose a guardian deity. And so now we're pretty much just waiting for the US servers to come up. There have been some reports that they're coming up as we go. There is a website for ARRstatus.com that should show when the servers are coming up. It says they're on, but as you can see, it's going to be different. We're going to have a hard time here. Just because, again, starting off from scratch. So I'll see what I can do to get into a server, and I'll start recording once again. Now, since I'm going through a few issues with the beta here, there's just a few pieces of information I have forgotten to mention, and I want to go over that real quick. When you choose a starting class, there is one other thing that is dictated here, and that is where you're going to start in your city. You don't get to pick your starting zone in this game outside of picking a class. And even the races will all start based on their class. The reason for this is that the main guild for a particular class exists in one of the 3 starting cities. So, for example, if I wanted to be a gladiator, I'm going to start in the city of Ul'dah. You'll see down here in the lower left. You can't change that. That's where the gladiator guild is. Ul'dah holds the gladiator, the pugilist, and the thaumaturge. So if you're looking for black mage, if you're looking for a tank and the gladiator and a DPS and pugilist, you'll be going to Ul'dah. If you want to go to Linsa Lominsa, and this is where the player housing is going to be featured here for the open beta, you will want to be a Marauder or an Arcanist. These are the only 2 classes that go to Linsa Lominsa. There will be more than likely another class that will be put into Linsa Lominsa, but for now we only have the 2. Now keep in mind that I did mention that Arcanist is the only class that has 2 jobs at the moment. That will eventually change as well. This is just the way it is for the start of the game, so we'll be seeing some content patches down the road, I'm pretty sure. Now the last city is Gridania, and that is home of the Lancer, the Archer, and the Conjurer. So if you want to be a white mage, you will be starting in a city with no tanks. Go figure, right? I guess they figure the DPS classes need you more. Alright, that's all I wanted to go through real quick. So you do have the starting cities. It's dependent on your class. Don't worry. From what I've heard from other players, it is completely possible to run to other starting cities from your own. And if you don't do that, which it's recommended that you don't because you do have to go through your class quest in the beginning, at around level 15, you're going to get access to an airship, which will take you between all the cities anyway. So you will be able to play with other characters, with your friends. You might want to go through the starting stuff first. At level 15, though, you'll be able to finally start grouping up. So it's not too bad. It might seem bad at first, but it doesn't take that long. Alright, still waiting for the servers. See you in a bit. Alright, it just took a little bit of waiting and reloading, but we're going to finally try and get into a world here. Picking Cactar is my world. And I just want to show off the naming feature here. You must pick a first name and a last name. You are limited to 15 characters apiece, but no more than 20 characters for the entire name. So, yeah, you can't have a 30-name character, so you're going to have to take one from the other. Oh, well, one neat feature here also is that you can pick a random name based on the naming conventions of the game, of your race, and it's pretty cool. But we're not going to use that. I've already got a character name in mind, so we're going to go and do that and try and join. And with that, the most fearsome battle occurs. The battle with the error messages. Well, I'm going to keep trying.